G'day everybody, Brent Sternberg here again from Casey Radio. Once again, I'm joined by that fellow over there. It's Brent and Jonty Rhodes, and we're back here again to recap a big round one of VFL action and look ahead to round two as well. Jonty, I was just saying to you off air, a week is a long time in football. What a round 1 week that was of VFL footy, mate.
I don't think we could have asked for better, could we? A fantastic launch to the new lights down in Frankston. That's a good start for me. Get it
out, Jonty. Come on,
completely tied up. A great start to the new lights down in Frankston. That's what I'm trying to get out. A thrilling game on Saturday afternoon on our broadcast game on Casey Radio. The return of the Northern Bull Ants, and what a performance by the NEFL clubs, who everybody pretty much down in Victoria had written off as being in a vastly inferior competition. Well, they certainly made a statement straight up, didn't they?
My word, they did. Let's get to it, Jonty. Let's go through round one. It kicked off on Friday. We had two games. We had Richmond, the defending premiers. Of course, they rolled on over the top of Sandringham, 13-17-95. The Tigers over Sandy, 7-13-55. It was the Tigers by 40 points in that one. A young man by the name of Samson Ryan, the Richmond/Gold Coast ruckman, played well in that one. Jonty, and kicked 3 goals. It was a good performance from the Tigers.
Oh, no question. A dominant display by the Tigers. And I did see a little bit of the stream on this one. And Samson Ryan, well, I could stand on your shoulders and we wouldn't be able to reach up to where he was taking his marks from. He is a very, very big man. Needs to put some weight on, but looked very, very good up forward with his 3 goals. It was a pretty concerning start for Sandringham. I know they're taking on the best team in the competition, but the raw numbers just show just how dominant Richmond was. They had 110 more disposals and still made 27 more tackles, the Tigers. Now that's the biggest blight on any losing team. It was all Richmond in this game, and as expected, they won easily.
And Friday night, out under lights at Skybus Stadium, it was the Dolphins with a good round 1 win, 20 goals, 6, 126 over Coburg, 14-12-96. It was Frankston by 30 points in that one. And the just about the match winner there for the Dollies, Jonty, was Josh Begley, the former Bomber, with half a dozen snags.
Yeah, kicked one in the first 50 seconds of the game to get things going. But after Coburg dominated the first quarter, and they kicked a goal at the start of the second quarter, the Lions, 22 points up they were. And then Begley just said, no. And he kicked 5 goals from the 3-minute mark of the second quarter to the 3-minute mark of the third quarter to give himself the 6 for the game. And yeah, Frankston turned a 22-point deficit into a 21-point lead. They kicked 10 out of 11 goals in that period of time and completely turned the match on the head. And what a great way to start having the new lights down at Frankston. 40 disposals to Freeman from Frankston and 40 also to Lentini from Coburg. Those figures have been adjusted up since the weekend. So what a start by prolific ball magnets down there, but Begley was the match winner.
Yeah, huge start for the Dolphins. We had a bunch of games on Saturday. Jonty, let's run through these if we can. The Bulldogs over the Suns by 67 points. It was the Doggies 16-13, 109 over Gold Coast 6-6-42. Josh Shackey, the forgotten man there down at Whitten Oval, was good with 5 goals.
Yes, he was a comprehensive performance from the Bulldogs, but no more than was really expected there. The Suns coming down with a vastly undermanned team due to injuries. Shackey, a very good performance, but he needs that, and he needs to back it up for probably another 3 or 4 weeks before he can get a look into that Western Bulldogs forward line of Norton and Bruce. And then there's also Ugal Hagan waiting in the wings, who kicked a couple in this game too.
Brisbane with a big win at home, 15-14, 104 over the Bombers, 5-8-38 was the Lions by 66 points. Connor Bellenden, 31 disposals. Key position guy, don't forget, 31 disposals and a goal for Brisbane, Jonty, in another statement win up there for another one of the sides that join us this year.
21 consecutive wins now in reserves football for the Lions after they went 20-0 to win the 2019 Premiership. They kicked 12 goals to 1 in the first half against the Bombers. It was all one-way traffic from there. A little bit of respectability from Essendon, but they were never in the game. And Brisbane proved that they're going to be very hard to beat up there in Brisbane.
Swans over the Giants as well, 15-6-96. The Swannies, the Giants, 10-10-70. It was Sydney by 26 points. Jesse Hogan played in this one for the Giants and kicked 3 goals for the boys in orange. So a nice win for Sydney there, Jonty.
Yeah, 6-1 in the second quarter set this result up for the Swans. They turned a 1-point deficit at quarter time into a 28-point lead at the half and managed to hold on completely. As you mentioned, Jesse Hogan, first game back, kicked 3 goals in a good performance. Paddy McCartan was the one we were watching. He made his return from concussion issues for Sydney, played in defence for the Swans and finished with 18 disposals and 9 marks. So a very good return for Paddy McCartan as well.
We're going to rattle off a couple of statement victories here, Jonty. Aspley 2013, 133 over Port Melbourne, 12-8-80. It was the Hornets by 53, set up by a 10-goal first quarter. Welcome to the Victorian Football League, Aspley.
If you ever wanted to make a statement, that was the statement to make. 5 goals unanswered in the first 10 minutes. I think they had 8 before Port Melbourne got on the board, finished with 10-2, led by 48 points at quarter time, won by 53. That says it all. Matt Hamilman, the leading goal kicker of the past 2 years up there, crossed from Redland and kicked 4 goals. And Matthew Payne, we mentioned last week, the very well decorated Aspley star with all those best and fairest awards. He had 27 disposals first up. Port Melbourne, Anthony Anastasio, first game for 2 years, kicked 3 goals. Great to see him back on the park in game number 96.
Match of the round, we were there, Jonty. Southport 17-7, 109 over Carlton, 16-12, 108. It was Southport in a thriller by 1 point. They come from 25 points down at the final break. I think they kicked 6 goals in the last quarter to win that game over the Blues, and what a win it was.
It certainly did. A stunning performance. 25 at three-quarter time, but it was 31 just before the final break in favour of Carlton. And, well, they had all the answers, and it just came out of nowhere, didn't it? You saw it, I saw it, everybody saw it. There was no sign that Southport was going to get closer than arm's reach until they did. And when they did, it was an amazing comeback. They caught up. Carlton went again with a couple of late goals, and Southport just wouldn't be denied. And a late free kick for Billy Gowers to give him 6 goals for the game. A terrific performance from the ex-Bulldog. And then Lucas Webb got a free kick with 15 seconds to go, 15 metres out, and kicked the winner to break Carlton's hearts. And wow, the Southport flight back was delayed from what I'm told. And it would have been a delayed flight that nobody on it cared about wearing black and white, that's for sure.
That was a grandstand finish, and I think the vocal cords, both in your throat and mine, are still recovering even a handful of days later. The final game on Saturday, Jonty, was Collingwood over Werribee. The Pies 10-9-69 over the Tigers 9-8-62. So the Pies in a close one there by 7 points. This was a close game. I think the biggest margin in this one was 13 points. So it was a close one there out at Chirnside Park.
Yeah, nothing in it all night, but all afternoon, I should say. But I think Werribee's probably the team out of the entire first round that would be most disappointed. They've gone into the season as, in my opinion, one of the major threats for to be at the top end when the whips are cracking, and to lose a home game against a Collingwood team that had suffered some injuries at the senior level and weren't at full strength. For Collingwood to go down there, that's a great win for Collingwood. But back to the drawing board for Michael Barlow. He'd be very disappointed in his first game as coach. And with another home game to come this weekend against a very powerful Williamstown team, they'll either get themselves back on track really quickly, Werribee, or they'll find themselves 0-2 with 2 home games out of the way and right behind the 8 ball early on.
3 games on the first Sunday afternoon of the season. It was Casey making another statement of intent. 17-16, 118, Jonty over Box Hill, 10-7, 67. It was the Demons by 51, and it was Sam Wiedemann. Last week, I mentioned that they're going to have Ben Brown and Majak Dor, and then you mentioned Sam Wiedemann all in the forward line. It was Sam Wiedemann in this one who helped himself to 7 goals. A massive, massive round 1 win for Casey.
Yeah, exactly. And they also had Mitch Brown running around in the forward line as well. So Majak played a fair bit in the ruck, but it was just good luck for the Hawks defence. They were never really a chance, I don't think. Casey kicked 5 goals to 2 in the first quarter, 5 goals to 2 in the second. The game's pretty much done as a contest. They kicked, I think, 9-9 to 1-2 from early in the second quarter to the midway point of the third. and they led by as much as 70 points, the Demons, before Box Hill, I should say, put a little bit of respectability on the scoreboard. But a very, very good start for the Demons. They'd be over the moon with that, going away and coming home with a big win.
And another big win for Geelong as well, 18-15, 123 over North Melbourne, 6-8-44. It was the Cats by 79 points. Not too much to write home about here, Jonty. We thought the Cats would win big, and they did.
Yes, 8 goals in the second quarter after 1-8 in the first put paid to this contest. They led by 88 points at three-quarter time and looked like getting a third consecutive 100-point win over the Roos, down at Kardinia Park, that is. North Melbourne can hang their hat on a good finish. They won the last quarter, 2-1. Matt Walker, 3 goals and 10 marks on debut for the Roos. He's one to look at for the mid-season draft.
And then the final game in round one saw the return of the Bull Ants back at Preston City Oval. It was Williamstown, unfortunately, who spoiled the party there, 14-15-99 over the Bull Ants. 6-11-47. It was Willie in the end by 52. And this was a tight tussle as well, Jonty, all day. It was really only the 5-goal burst from the Seagulls in that second quarter that put this one to bed.
Yeah, they were competitive, the Northern Bull Ants, and that's what you wanted to see from them. They're probably never ever going to beat Williamstown, one of the powerful teams of the competition. Whereas the Bull Ants are definitely a development side with, I think they only had 6 players over the age of 23 on the field. So it was always going to be tough for them, but they stuck with Williamstown for most of the game. There was plenty of times where the Seagulls threatened to blow them away, but Josh Fraser's men, to their credit, didn't allow that to happen. And there's plenty to look forward to for the future for the boys in red and white.
And there's plenty to look forward to in round 2 as well, Jonty, which kicks off tonight. GWS up at home at Blacktown International Sports Park. They're going to take on the Bulldogs. That one, Footscray, I should say. That one not too far away from getting underway. Giants losers in round 1. The Doggies big winners in round 1. Who do you expect to come out on top in this one, Jonty?
Interesting game, this one, especially being up there in Sydney, to see how the Bulldogs team travels. The seniors, the AFL teams, are in Canberra. I think that game is Friday night. So whether players get held over for the Friday night game in Canberra, or whether they play in this one, it'll be interesting to see. You would think the Bulldogs would start favourites. Certainly here in Melbourne, they would definitely start favourites. But there's a lot of ill feeling between these two clubs, and it's going to be a terrific contest. I'm tipping the Bulldogs. I expect the Bulldogs to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants sprung an upset.
And then the rest of the games for round 2, Jonty, are all Saturday afternoon. No games on Sunday this week on Anzac Day. The first game on Saturday will be the Gold Coast Suns versus Sydney. This one's at Metricon at 10 a.m. Is that one a curtain raiser, Jonty?
It certainly is. The Suns and the Swans playing in the AFL on Saturday afternoon. Both teams now having issues with injuries. The Swans have lost 4 key players out of the AFL team in the last couple of weeks, which in turn will affect the depth in the VFL team, and that will open the door a little bit for the Suns. But you'd still expect Sydney to have a little bit too much depth for Gold Coast in this one.
Carlton are back at Icon Park after losing a heartbreaker last week. They will play the Brisbane Lions. That is at Icon Park at 12 o'clock. This will be an interesting one, Jonty. Brisbane coming down to play the Blues after a big win in round 1.
11 a.m. actually, according to the VFL app, Brent. So just Carlton fans, if you're heading along to that one, just check that one out and make sure that the time is well and truly locked in, so you don't turn up either an hour early or an hour late. Big challenge for Carlton. They had a good day for most of it against Southport. They couldn't hold the Sharks off. The Brisbane Lions are another step up from there. And it's a tough call to say 3 games in a row I'm picking the interstate team, but that's what I'm doing. You'd think the Brisbane Lions should be too strong for Carlton in this one.
Speaking of Southport, Jonty, here just might be match of the round. Southport and Aspley at Fankhauser Reserve up there in Queensland. 1 p.m. is the first bounce.
Yeah, there's probably only 2 other games that could contend for the match of the round. It's certainly the one that all eyes will be on. Aspley, after that 10-goal first quarter against Port Melbourne, They get a trip just down the road from Brisbane to the Gold Coast. Southport, how will they recover from the trip to Melbourne that they've never done before? That's the big question there. You'd think the confidence boost that Southport got would, from coming to Melbourne and winning, would stand them in good stead. There's less than a goal in this one, I think. I'm going for the Sharks just.
That's going to be a cracker. I can't wait for that one. The next game, North Melbourne and Frankston at Arden Street at 1 p.m, Jonty. Possibly a chance for the Dolphins to go 2-0.
Huge chance for the Dolphins to go 2-0. They were absolutely terrific against Coburg. They spotted them a bit of a start, as I mentioned, and then they put together half an hour of football that would challenge any team in the competition if they can keep producing that. That's the challenge for Danny Ryan and the challenge for his team. In the past, when they've produced great games like that, they haven't been able to back it up. They've put in a stinker the following week. If they want any chance to really do something special this year, they're going to Arden Street and they're beating North Melbourne. It's as simple as that. If they don't beat North Melbourne, well, it just puts a pinprick straight in the balloon that they blew up last Friday night. So Frankston should be winning this game.
Collingwood and Essendon at Victoria Park. Jonty will be out there 2:00 Anzac Day Eve between the two age-old rivals. Collingwood close winners in round one. Essendon disappointing losers, but they're back in Victoria now to take on the Pies.
Yeah, and the only thing that you could hang your hat on for Essendon is that Anzac Day, and even though this is the VFL and it's Anzac Eve, no one is ever a certainty in the Anzac Day game because both teams find another leg. Collingwood lose a couple more players out of the AFL team, which affects the VFL. The Bombers, not sure what they're getting back, but they're coming back from an interstate trip where they got a flogging. You've got to tip Collingwood in the game, but again, don't be surprised if Essendon pulls one out of the box in this one.
Box Hill and the Northern Bull Answers next up. Box Hill City Oval, so back-to-back home games for the Hawks. This one is at 2:00. What can the Bull Ants manage in this one, Jonty?
Well, if they bring their A game, who really knows? But both teams are coming off a convincing defeat in round one. It's another tough one for the Bull Ants. They're going to keep working on development, keep working on improvement. Unfortunately, I can't see them winning too many games. But as long as they're competitive and continuing to develop every week, that's all that Josh Fraser and the Bull Ants supporters can ask for to build for the future. The Bull Ants under Sam Mitchell will be wanting to bounce back, and they should be able to do that at home by about 4 or 5 goals, I think.
Another match between two teams that'll be bitterly disappointed with the round one result, Port Melbourne and Sandringham. This is out in Port Melbourne at ETU Stadium at 2 p.m. And Jonty, this is a chance for one of these teams to get back on the right side of the ledger. Going 0-2 for either of these sides, particularly Port Melbourne, would be a pretty big blow to start the season.
In a 16-team season, when only 8 out of 22 make the finals, 0-2, you're almost cooked, don't you? Mm. It's very, very early to say that, but if Port Melbourne want to keep their proud record going of making the finals and contending against all the AFL clubs, this is one that they have to win. And I think at home they will win. The only question mark is, again, how they recover from a trip interstate that they haven't made since the Gold Coast was in the competition in 2010 before their elevation to the AFL. They had a good win up there against Gold Coast all those years ago, and then I think they won coming back home. They should bounce back, and Gary Ayres will certainly have them well and truly ready to go after that disappointing performance in Queensland.
And one of the other games that perhaps might rival Southport and Aspley for match of the round is a potential Jonty grand final preview, maybe Richmond and the Casey Demons, two big winners from round one. They will meet at the Swinburne Centre, 2 p.m. Of course, these two teams will meet that night at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. So it'll be a big day for Tigers and Demons fans. How do you see this one playing out between Richmond and Casey?
Expecting a huge crowd there leading into that Anzac Eve match, as you mentioned. Casey outstanding on the road against the Box Hill Hawks last week. Richmond, the reigning premiers, just did what they had to do. They dominated Sandringham. They could have won by a lot more than they did. And at home, they're going to be very, very hard to beat. I won't be picking against Richmond at home this season, but Casey, if any team can go there and knock them off, it is Casey. That will all depend on Simon Goodwin and the AFL selection panel. How many of those big names manage to make their way into the Melbourne team for the Anzac Eve game? I suspect it won't be too many, given how well Melbourne is going. They may lift either Wiedemann or Brown up. They won't lift them both at this stage, I don't think. I could be completely wrong there, of course, but Richmond to win, but Casey will be right with them all the way.
And the final game, round 2, Jonty, is Saturday night under lights out there at Avalon Airport Oval. It's Werribee back at home against Williamstown. How do you see this one?
Well, I said the exact same thing. I say the exact same thing as I said about Port Melbourne for Werribee. I tipped Werribee to make the grand final, and they have dropped one early that they really could not afford to drop. And now they play a powerful team, confidence right up, coming off a win. 2019, this was the game of the season. Where Werribee played Williamstown down there at Werribee, and I think the score was something like 103-95. It was easily the best game we saw on Casey Radio all year. So I'm expecting an absolute cracker again. Do I jump off Werribee so soon after picking them to make the grand final? I really don't know. On form, you've got to take Williamstown. But again, Werribee is, it's real backs against the wall for Werribee, and they need to come out firing and get a win. I've got to pick the Seagulls and then leave Werribee chasing tail for the rest of the year to try and get themselves back into position.
Well, there you go. Jonty stuck his neck out with our pre-season predictions and picked Werribee to make the grand final, and now he's picking them to go 0-2, and he's jumping off. That's fickle from you, Jonty. Coburg and Geelong, they are the two teams who are on the bye. Of course, every team this year will have 3 byes, so the byes are starting early in week 2. Like I said earlier, gang, we're going to be out there at Victoria Park for Collingwood and Essendon. We'll be on air at 1:30 with the first bounce to be at 2 o'clock. That's when you'll hear us next, and you will see us next week as well. Jonty and I will be back, and we'll have a chat about everything that happened in round 2, and we'll look ahead to round 3 as well. You'll hear us on the weekend, gang, and you'll see us next week. Until then, bye for now.